Let's bring in the Fitz-Gerald Group Principal, Keith Fitz-Gerald. And Keith, good morning. And, you know, as we head into the final month of trading, the month of December, it's been a great year for markets, but do you think we're going to see some type of retrenchment in technology stocks?
You know, that's an interesting question. Obviously, I'm thinking an awful lot about that. I think we're going to see the opposite. We're going to see a little bit of footing gained here, but people know that the longer-term game is still very much afoot. So if you're a trader, yeah, probably short-term, up and down for the next 2 weeks. But if you're an investor, I think this is probably the last opportunity to get on the gas before it really takes hold.
That's interesting. So in general, are there specific companies that you think that we should have on our radar or not? In particular, as we're talking so much now about potential tariffs being levied, potential as we don't know yet. But, you know, Tim Cook was just in China. And, you know, when we talk about potential tariffs coming down the pike, technology would be one of the first sectors that I would look to look for pressure in names, in particular if you're an Apple.
Well, having spent an awful lot of time in mainland China over the years, you know, I've seen that firsthand. I know how they operate. The thing to think about is, I submit, the reverse, because if you look at emerging markets, you look at much of Europe, you look at even South America or the Middle East, tech is still going to expand. It's not a tariff situation like a hard good would be. Digital investment has a return on scale, and you can move beyond borders with that. So my take is, you know, again, go for the growth. Don't worry about things you can't control.
Interesting. John Lonsky, jump in here.
Yeah, Keith, you know, I have some worry about next year, and that is, you know, we're all expecting the economy to gain some speed, some momentum because of the new administration, the new Congress. But look at where we are today. We have a near full employment economy, and I'm asking myself, just how much room is there for the economy to grow without risking a return of rising price inflation? And with that, perhaps, instead of getting Fed rate cuts later in 2025, we're looking at Fed rate hikes. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's a very sharp observation, John, and I share that concern. So again, you know, I think the key here is going to be to go to must-have products, not nice-to-have products. I want to build in some defense in terms of stability, dividend, income growth, but I do still very much want to stay on point with regard to tech because it's growing at 30, 40, 50, 100% a year in some very specific segments. So that, to me, is how I'm going to balance those two things. But I share that concern 100%.
What do you make of this run-up in Bitcoin? It has been, I mean, run-up isn't even the right word. It's been unbelievable what we've seen since the election. We're on track right now for the best performance for Bitcoin since November of 2020. Many calls for not 100,000. We're talking 250,000 on Bitcoin, Keith. Do you think that these bull calls on Bitcoin are rooted in reality?
Well, I got to be honest. I'm not smart enough to figure that one out. You know, I think that we are going to see a digital currency. We're going to see a digital world. Money is going to digitize, no question about it. But whether or not Bitcoin survives remains to be seen in my mind. I think that blockchain technology is very investable, very real. Bitcoin, to me, is something I've seen dozens of times during the course of my career. So I'm going to step back. I'm going to invest in institutions that are working with it, but I'm not going to handle it directly.
Well, certainly, you know, I understand the bullishness in cryptocurrency. But what about an ancillary play? What about a Coinbase, for example?
Well, again, you know, same argument, it really comes to the forefront. You know, how real is this? You know, right now, I can't go down the street and use it at the grocery store. Now, that's going to change. It's going to have to change if it's going to be broadly accepted and utilized. So it doesn't matter what cryptocurrency you're talking about. The idea that it's decentralized has got everybody's attention right now, but there's not a global treasury in the world that's going to let that stand. So, you know, again, China's working with the ECNY. We don't have yet a U.S. digital coin. I think that's probably on the horizon somewhere, but these are the same guys that think the post office is a great idea, so I don't know.
All right, Keith Fitz-Gerald. Maybe Elon Musk has something to say about the Postal Service. We'll stand by for that one. Keith Fitz-Gerald, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too.